friend, the way things are going right now. OK, well, fronting our commentary team tonight, of course, sitting alongside Trevor, is Alan Parry. Alan, good evening to you. Tell us about the teams.
Good evening. It seems like only yesterday, doesn't it, that we were here watching Arsenal win the title. Now, in front of the junior gunners who are just being presented with their various trophies, and showing the trophies, of course, that the first team won, all three of them: Championship, Charity Shield and FA Cup. Lovely scene here, and the Championship flag about to be presented to David Dein. And also Arsene Wenger will shortly receive his award as the Carling Manager of the Year. Well, one of the ingredients of success is consistent team selection, so no surprises in this Arsenal lineup. They're the main 11 who won the Championship and FA Cup last season. Of the others who played a major role, Ian Wright, now of course with West Ham, David Platt has retired, and Steve Bold, Alex Meninga and Stephen Hughes are all on the subs bench tonight. It's the same team, Trevor, which beat Manchester United in the Charity Shield.
Yes, a very familiar lineup, 4-4-2. It's a team that got better and better as the season progressed last season. We saw signs last week against Manchester United that they're going to attempt to hold on to the Championship. And who would rule them out? It's a formidable lineup. I've already said that they're going to get better. There's no reason why they can't hold on to the Championship. I see the main contenders as being Manchester United, but that is an outstanding lineup.
Well, Nottingham Forest preparations for their return to the Premiership couldn't really have been much worse. The loss of Pierre van Hooijdonk and Kevin Campbell, who between them scored almost 60 goals last season, has ruined Dave Bassett's plans, and they've been further hampered by injuries to Ian Woan, Chris Bart-Williams and also Colin Cooper, who earlier today failed a test on his injured ankle. So, not surprisingly, Bassett opts for a defensive formation tonight, and that includes two debutants in Glyn Hodges and Jean-Claude Darcheville.
Yes, because of circumstances which we've spoken about. I think Dave's had to put out a team that's unfamiliar, really. He likes to play 4-4-2, but that's a team that's going to try and frustrate Arsenal. As long as they don't concede early on, they'll be reasonably satisfied if they can take it to half-time at 0-0. On the bench, they've got Dougie Freeman, who can come on to play up front alongside Darcheville, who I'm told is very, very quick, but a daunting task for him tonight, making his Premiership debut against what is possibly the strongest back four in the league.
Well, not too many changes on or off the pitch at Highbury during the summer. Just two new arrivals: Nelson Vivas from Argentina, and a teenage left-back, David Grondin. And inside the stadium, well, it all looks as spick and span as it did a few months ago. But in addition to all the wonderful facilities they have here at Highbury, there's a very important new addition, which will soon be flying very proudly over the main grandstand. And that is the flag, which officially declares Arsenal as champions. And it's about to be presented to David Dein, with the inevitable musical accompaniment.
That is the champion's flag.
Well, what they've got to do now is retain their title, and that's something that's notoriously difficult to do. Only Manchester United have managed it in the last 14 years. Before that, you have to go all the way back to the great Liverpool teams of the 70s and 80s. And certainly, Trevor, as far as the bookmakers are concerned, it's a straight fight between Arsenal and Manchester United, with Liverpool and Chelsea on the fringe. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would do. I'm not quite sure whether Liverpool or Chelsea are ready yet for a Championship challenge. I think they're still bedding in one or two new players, as we saw at Wembley last week. It's going to take a little bit of time for the likes of Johnson and Stam to form an understanding at the heart of the Manchester United defence. Whereas Arsenal, they've got a very settled side. The one thing you look for immediately are signs that is the hunger there that they had last season. And that was definitely there last week. There's a real desire. They've got some outstanding individual players. I was mightily impressed with their performance against Manchester United, and it really sent a warning to the rest of the Premiership.
A capacity crowd, of course, of 35,500, woefully inadequate for all the people who'd like to see Arsenal play. Virtually every home game is already a sellout. The club have ambitious plans to either expand Highbury, or if it should be inevitable, relocate to a new stadium. Such is the demand to see the champions and FA Cup holders and Charity Shield holders in this exciting new season that lies ahead. A big night too for the men in blue from Nottingham Forest, back at the top level after an absence of one season. Bring on the champions is the cry inside the stadium. The players can hear that, and in a moment they'll hear the roar that will greet the champions of English football.
As you can see, the team preparing for this.
A guard of honour formed by those junior gunners you saw a few moments ago. Referee Mike Riley and his officials lead them out. Well, never has a new English season been so eagerly anticipated, and we're better to start our Monday night football than with the clash of the champions. The winners of the Premiership meet the winners of the First Division. It's Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. We've got the whole match live. Don't miss a moment.
We are set. So are the champions in North London, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest, live on the Monday Night Football. Our match commentators at Highbury, Trevor Francis and Alan Parry.
Thank you, Richard. Welcome back to Highbury, the home of the champions, on a beautiful summer's evening. A capacity crowd, the Highbury pitch, renowned throughout the game as one of the finest surfaces in football, looking absolutely perfect once again. And it's Arsenal in their famous red and white who'll get their opening match of the season underway. Nottingham Forest, last year's First Division champions, in a change strip of all blue. An early threat for Martin Keown, dealt with quite easily against Darshfield, this newcomer to the Nottingham Forest side. Emmanuel Petit with the ball over the top, aimed at Anelka. Bonneler caught in possession there by Mark Overmars, and the French fullback got the deflection off the Dutch winger. Thierry Bonneler beginning his second season now. Here's Steve Stone, who makes his 200th appearance for Forest tonight, losing out, and Ray Parlour continues the Arsenal attack. Excellent ball if Dixon can reach it. And the cross aimed at Overmars. Stone with the interception. Petit makes the challenge. And Parlour there again to win it back for Arsenal. Martin Keown, member of England's World Cup squad, though he didn't actually play in France. Dixon. And Patrick Vieira. Again looking for that through ball for either Bergkamp or Anelka. This time a little too strong. Straight through to Dave Besant in the Forest goal.
Exactly as we expected, Alan. Plenty of possession in the early part of this game from Arsenal. Forest playing 4-5-1 formation, trying to contain Arsenal, looking to press the ball as early as they possibly can.
Arsenal champions for the first time in 7 years, their 11th title in all, the same number now as Manchester United. And Forest with the early threat down the left, but the ball never enough to trouble David Seaman. And in fairness to Nottingham Forest, Trevor, I think we have to say that this is a much weaker side that Dave Bassett has been forced to field tonight than the one which won the championship.
Oh, very much so. I think we've all spoken about Campbell and Hoydon, who aren't available. Well, one's already gone, one's gone on strike. They, for me, were the best front two as a partnership in the First Division last year, so that's a massive loss. But also Colin Cooper is missing, another very, very influential player for Nottingham Forest. But the one thing with Forest is that they've got nothing to lose tonight. And even if those players had been playing, they still would be the underdogs. They can go out, give up their best. They're not expected to win. So the pressure is all on the boys in red and white.
Adams comes in to win it back. Some talk in the London Evening newspaper tonight of Tony Adams considering packing in fact, at the end of the season. It's all to do with the ankle problems he's had and the anti-inflammatory tablets he's been forced to take to quell that problem. He's worried that that's going to give him long-term problems. But I'd be very surprised if we didn't see him back here again next season, along with the rest of Dad's army. Lee Dixon, Nigel Winterburn, Martin Keown not quite falling into that category. Steve Bold on the bench tonight. That famous back four, which has been together now for 10 years, quite incredibly. And although Arsene Wenger has recognised the need to look at possible changes in the future with the signing of a couple of new fullbacks, it's going to be very hard to dislodge the men in possession. Here's Parlour, what an outstanding season he had. But that wasn't one of the best passes he's played. But it was one of the main reasons, I think, why Arsenal went on that incredible run of 10 successive wins towards the end of the season, which swept them past Manchester United and on to the title, which they eventually won by a single point from Alex Ferguson's team. Besant under pressure there from Dennis Bergkamp, and the experienced goalkeeper with a good clearance. Steve Stone helps it on. A challenge on Johnson. And good to see Steve Stone biting into the tackles like the player of a couple of years ago, who of course made the England squad at his best.
Yes, he's got a very important role tonight to play up in that right-hand side, because I'm sure the lad behind him, Bonalaire, former midfield player now converted to a right-back, will be looking for a lot of protection from Steve Stone, as he knows up against Overmars. He's playing against possibly one of the best left-sided players in the Premiership.
And Vieira caught in possession here by Armstrong. First chance perhaps for Forest. Well, he struck it when surely the ball to Stone to his right, or indeed to Darshfield to his left, might have been a better option.
Just a word about the block from Martin Keown. Does that so often, threw himself in front of it to get an important block.
Bergkamp with a through ball, Petit on the end of it almost. He applauds the quality of the pass. Adams defending at the other end. And now Martin Keown. Parlour and Bergkamp linking cleverly. Lee Dixon still first choice after 10.5 years now at Highbury. And Adams forced to take the backwards route to David Seaman, another of course of that long-serving defence. It's his 9th season here now, during which he's won 6 major trophies. Close to 400 appearances now. Mark Overmars in space and found with a glorious ball. And lost Bonalaire cleverly. 3 in the middle for the cross. A little too deep in the end. Rodgers' clearance only reached Anelka.
Well, that's the warning I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago. Overmars at his trickiest best. Gets the better of Bonalaire, beats him once, comes back onto his left foot. Great ball to the back post. Rodgers, not a particularly good clearance, straight to Anelka. There's no power with a header.
And Overmars has just continued the form that he showed towards the end of last season, and of course for Holland in the World Cup finals. He's just signed a 2-year extension to his contract, Mark Overmars. Rodgers gets it back from Armstrong. Keown winning it back. Well, Anelka was offside then, and the referee acknowledges the linesman's flag. Free kick. And Stone with a clumsy ball straight to Overmars. He could be made to pay for that. They've got a man over as well in Bergkamp here. Overmars chose the difficult route in the end and ran into a cul-de-sac. Winterburn. T finding Vieira. Overmars, I think, when he looks back on that treble, will realise if he'd have gone in the opposite direction, he might have had a clear run on goal.
Well, I thought he could have possibly released Anelka. They were running 2-on-1. Bad error by Steve Stone. Almost made to pay for it, but got away with it.
Giving it away himself. And a good ball too for Jean-Claude Darshfield, who I'm told has got real pace and showed it then. Frenchman, just 23, on a year's loan from Rennes in the French league, with a view to a permanent move if Harry Bassett wants to make it so. It cost over $1 million, rather less than this guy, the Footballer of the Year, Dennis Bergkamp. Here's Steve Stone for Forest. Darshfield again. Bonalaire finds Stone. He let it run on, or should have done anyway. Finally it reaches Johnson. It looked like a possible handball there by Andy Johnson. In his second season now, the former Norwich player. Forest with basically 5 men strung across the middle of the field. They had the option of playing another of their new signings, striker Dougie Friedman, alongside Darshfield. But Dave Bassett, quite wisely I'm sure, chose this rather more defensive formation, at least initially in the game.
Yes, on 2 of the 3 central midfield players, Johnson and Jeff Thomas, they're forward-running players, whereas Armstrong, who likes to play in a back 4, has played in midfield. He'll be the more defensive of the 3 central midfield players for Nottingham Forest.
Thomas making that run, the former England international, who was signed just about a year ago now from Wolves. A lot of injuries, of course, in his career. Best known for his days at Crystal Palace. There's Armstrong, one of the men who came through the youth system at Nottingham Forest. I'm sure a lot of these names and faces will be quite unfamiliar to our regular Premiership viewers. It's such a different-looking Forest team tonight. Nigel Winterburn for Arsenal, all of whose names and faces are now so well known. Bergkamp. The double challenge, finally earning a free kick. And the referee wants a word with Glyn Hodges, who makes his debut, in fact, for Nottingham Forest tonight, at the age of 35, a very experienced former Welsh international who's been with David Bassett at Wimbledon, Watford and Sheffield United. In fact, he's going to be cautioned for that tackle. Marks his debut in an unfortunate way. Referee Riley's first caution of the game. Bergkamp, a clever little ball, and it almost found its way through and still could. Brave goalkeeping by Besant, went down at the feet of Anelka and had to.
It looked to be a straightforward ball for Rodgers to clear. Whether it was clipped by his ankle from Anelka, no, in fact, he completely missed kicks. Yeah, it's a good save from Dave Besant. He was very alert to the situation. Got his left back, Rodgers, out of a little bit of problem there.
Darshfield finding Hodges, looking for Johnson. Adams wins it back for the champions. Parler sees the overlapping Winterburn and Overmars. Besant got a huge distance on that. Darshfield's header.
That's where you feel, Alan, that Forest have got to get players forward to support Darshfield from kicks from deep from Besant. You saw there that even if he does win the ball, as it happened, it went straight through to the keeper. But they've got to get players forward to try and support him in deep areas.
There's Armstrong for Forest. Took the wise, sensible, safe route back to Dave Besant. Yelda, the big Norwegian centre-back. Feeds it across to Steve Chettle, who's been a permanent fixture, it seems, of Nottingham Forest defence for so long now. Nottingham Forest champions of the First Division last season, 3 points ahead of Middlesbrough, and as I mentioned, back after just a season in the Nationwide League. Armstrong trying to pick out Stone, but if he'd been about 12 foot tall, he might have had trouble collecting that one. North-East lad, Craig Armstrong. And Anelka. He had to be quick there, held up. Signed him a year ago from Rosenborg, the Norwegian champions. Petit. This is Dixon. Flicked on by Bergkamp, Anelka's header.
Once again, the header was lacking power from Anelka, but a great little build-up, good awareness from Dixon, as there was from Bergkamp. Just helps it on straight into the path of Anelka, but the header doesn't trouble Bessent.
Guillaume just guarded it out of play against Darshfield, who scored 7 goals in Forest pre-season games. Petit. That's a beautiful ball. Overmars onto it. Good goalkeeping again by Dave Besson. Saved his team there.
It was also excellent defending from the Norwegian Helder. I think he got the tackle in. Delightful ball. That's trouble, that's trouble.
And again Besson to the rescue. But Overmars keeps the threat going. And in the end it's Thomas back to clear.
Well, they're certainly living dangerously. 2 escapes there.
Vieira almost caught in possession, but he was aware of Armstrong closing him down and got away from him brilliantly. Parler helps it on to Dixon. Arsenal getting into their rhythm now. They've moved up a gear in the last few minutes. Dennis Bergkamp. Vieira in the centre. Bonalaire just did enough to get across in front of him.
Yes, he was already offside. The linesman had flagged. But it was just prior to that Forest had 1 or 2 warnings. Great ball inside Bonalaire, showing his lack of defensive qualities. But that's a great tackle from Helder. You see Besson coming out, there's the tackle. This is the second one, Bonalaire gives it away, and he's lucky to get away with this. And now go on to it first. Besson, desperate lunge at the feet of him.
Well, that's wonderful work by Dave Besson. Closed his man down for the first one, made the save for the second. And Forest certainly rode their luck at that moment. But Bergkamp finds Anelka in a good position again. Bergkamp. Well, there's always a buzz of anticipation, no matter where he gets the ball on the field almost, Dennis Bergkamp. Such were the superlative goals he scored last season. Top scorer here with 22. And that was despite a lot of injuries and suspensions. It's the FA Cup final, of course, amongst many prominent games at the end of the season. Bergkamp again. Parler took a little nudge, pulled it back to the wrong man in the end. Stone accepted the gift very gratefully, and here's Rodgers. Darshfield, Keown right behind him, and he's as quick as most. But look at the space. That really was flying from Darshfield. He's done brilliantly here, and almost picked out Johnson in the middle. Stone. Well, they weren't wrong when they told us he was quick.
Well, that pace on is absolutely frightening because Keown is one of the quickest defenders in the Premiership. But he leaves him 3-4 yards, he's nowhere near him. And that's a great ball. Winterburn had it all on there to keep that away from Stone.
Well, talking to Dave Bassett and some of the Forest players, they said this guy's going to surprise a lot of people this season. They might be right. Stone. A number of people closing him down, though. However, a moment's panic almost in the Arsenal defence. Keown presumably didn't hear the shout from David Seaman and lashed it clear. First rule of defending, and he got it right. But he must have been staggered But the way Darshfield left him for dead then, because as Trevor says, there aren't too many quicker than Keown around. But he met his match then.
It's also good of him to do it so early in the game. That puts fear into the opposition. A real warning to Keown and Adams. Don't take liberties with Darshfield.
Bonneler doing well. Armstrong goes down by Emmanuel Petit. Bonneler again. Chettle. This is better. Confident stop now from the visitors. Johnson. Great tackle by Petit. That's brilliant. Broke up an attack and has turned it into an Arsenal attack. Parler leading it. Chettle intercepts. And the game has quite noticeably picked up in pace in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, Arsenal won't mind too much. Forest mounting 1 or 2 attacks. They want them to come forward, push 1 or 2 men into more attacking areas. Then it gives Arsenal the opportunity to find a little bit more space. It's so difficult when they continually have 9 and sometimes 10 men behind the ball.
Tony Adams. This is Overmars. Bonneler faces it. Petit and Vieira always seem to know where each other is. Now Parler. Lee Dixon. And clearance by Chettle. Keown keeps Arsenal on the attack, but it took a good challenge by Petit to retain possession. Arsenal players are in possession and look up, all the options seem to be marked. With so many men behind the ball, Forest are making it extremely difficult for the champions. But 1 goal could change everything. Poor ball by Anelka, straight to Rodgers. Now Thomas. Bonneler. Finds Stone and gets a second chance, perhaps. It's great work by Steve Stone, but also very good covering from Tony Adams. And a foul by the Arsenal man.
Yes, possibly in other parts of the pitch, maybe more central. Tony Adams would have got away with that. And right in front of the eyes of the linesman. Little ankle tap on Stone. The linesman was spot on.
Glenn Hodges has always had a sweet left foot if he delivers this right. Johnson is the other option. It could be a problem here for Arsenal's defence.
Well, he's certainly got plenty of height in there.
And it is Hodges, and it's dealt with quite easily by Parler. But given away to Stone. Good ball back to Armstrong. Hodges again. And again, calm defending this time from Martin Keown. Bergkamp, lovely skills by him, but he's given it away. Armstrong. Now Rodgers. Growing into this, Forest. Thomas to Chettle. Shows his enthusiasm with the challenge on Lee Dixon.
I think once again it took Lee Dixon by surprise at the speed in which Darshfield closed him down. The players won't be too familiar with him, but of course the manager would, Arsene Wenger.
Lovely looking ball for Anelka. Took it beautifully, Anelka! Brilliant run! Deserved the goal, that did. But again, all credit to Nottingham Forest for closing the door, albeit at the very last moment. One of their walks, they're not sure which way to go. Now Hodges for Nottingham Forest, one over the top for Darshfield to chase. Keown with him again. Thomas. Rodgers out on the left. He was unlucky. Steve Stone almost forged an opening then, but suddenly Arsenal counter-attack. And a strong run by Paula. He almost released Anelka. Hodges under pressure from Petit. And wins it back well. And indeed wins the free kick for his side. He's really up for this, as you'd expect. His career seemed to be going downhill. He was at Hull City when Dave Bassett signed him on a free. He was telling me it's the lightest he's been for many years. He worked really hard in pre-season training, and he's taking this opportunity tonight. Kjelde gives it away to Petit. Could be a costly error, that. But in fairness to him, he won the ball back well. Bonalaire. Stone almost got in behind Winterburn. The ball hit him on the back. Johnson. Darshfield calling for it far post, and it almost reached him. And indeed the in-rushing Thomas. But suddenly the game is stretched from Forest's point of view. And the tackle by Johnson brings that Arsenal attack to a halt. But illegally, says the referee. Free kick for the foul on Vieira.
Yes, there was no doubt about the foul, but just prior to that, great forward run from Jeff Thomas. Johnson picked him out, and he almost got on the end of it.
Here's Dixon. Petit. And Vieira again. Stone won't let him settle on the ball. And that was enough. He battled him into the mistake. Darshfield surely offside, yes.
Well, the closest we've come to a goal, Alan, was effort from that man in the picture there. Great diagonal ball, and now takes up a great position. Good chest control, beats Helder. Well, you don't come much closer than that, do you? Brilliant individual play from Anelka. Perhaps had one touch too many, took it away from him. But he's desperately close to giving Arsenal the lead.
Here's Keown. Dixon looking for the run, and finally finds Parla onto Bergkamp. Hurried clearance by Besson, straight to Winterburn. Mark Overmars now. Good skill from Anelka. Support from Winterburn. And Rodgers' clearance has gone straight to Bergkamp. Came off Rodgers, there'll be a corner if it goes. Kept in play.
What a great ball that was from Dixon. I'm surprised that Anelka didn't react to it. It was played in the exact perfect position for a centre forward, centre the goal. Just look at this. Looks at his going out of play, keeps it in play. Absolutely perfect. Anelka doesn't react.
Winterburn tries one over the top for Overmars. A glorious ball again. Good challenge. Kjelde had to get that right.
Yeah, it's good covering from the big defender. Overmars looks to come to feet, spins in behind. Winterburn plays it into the open space. But excellent covering, as you would expect from the central defender.
Tony Adams begins another Arsenal attack. It's 5 years since they lost a match on the opening day of the season, and they lost 3-0 here to Coventry City with a hat-trick from Mickey Quinn. Here's Adams. Petit. Overmars. Anelka in the box. Bergkamp arriving. And Thomas made the interception, but at the expense of a corner. Coming up to half an hour. Arsenal get their first corner after a lot of pressure and possession. Adams directing it back. And Stone got in the way. Quick cry from the supporters. They felt they might have had a penalty there. It seemed a rather optimistic shout from our angle. And in the end, it's Forest who get the award of a free kick.
Yeah, one or two of the Forest players complaining there to Mike Riley. I think it's Andy Johnson who's on the floor. The challenge between him and Vieira. Here's the challenge between Petit and Stone. Nothing wrong with that. Petit doesn't go for it. And just after that, it was a clash between Johnson and Vieira. You see Vieira swiping, catches Johnson in the stomach. And perhaps he's a little bit lucky to get away with it.
Very painful blow for Johnson. Gary Lewin just giving Vieira the opportunity to take a little bit of liquid on board. Well, now that the season is into full swing, most nights are football nights here on Sky Sports. And on Wednesday, we've got Worthington Cup action from Main Road. The biggest club in Division 2, Manchester City, meet last season's third division champions, Notts County, in that second leg tie. It's on Sky Sports 2, beginning at 7:30. And then Super Sunday, back with the Premiership, of course. Aston Villa against Middlesbrough on Sky Sports 1, beginning at 3. Stone. Darshfield. Confident shot, and an even more confident one from Steve Stone. My word, he caught that brilliantly, Stone.
It's interesting the reaction of David Seaman as that shot came in. Took him by surprise. First shot, great block again from Adams. Stone onto it. I tell you, Seaman, he wasn't quite sure where that was going, but fortunately for him, past his far post.
Well, after a gentle opening, the game has really warmed up now. And tackles flying in. Good skill there by Thomas. Darshfield. Again, he's left Keown standing. Covering work by Adams saved Arsenal an embarrassment. Well, one back by Petit, and he finds Bergkamp beautifully. Anelka's got to watch the offside. He's made an early run. Bergkamp was aware of that. Finds Overmars instead.
Yeah, he did well, Bergkamp, didn't he? Realised that Anelka had run into an offside position, just delayed his pass.
Here's Andy Johnson, recovered from that size 10 boot in the stomach moments ago. Carlo wins it back for Arsenal. Vieira, that's offside.
Well, it was Anelka who was offside, but Parler had come from deep, and I think you'll find that he was onside. Let's have a look at it. Well, I'm not so sure that even Anelka's offside. But certainly Parler wasn't offside.
Steve Chettle with a long ball. Keown underneath it. Patrick Vieira helps it on. Kielda. Now Johnson finding Darshfield. Meaty clearance there from Tony Adams. Certainly let Darshfield know he was around there. Bonner wins it back. Thomas now for Nottingham Forest. Armstrong doing well. Another good tackle by Adams. Petit with an excellent ball for Parler. Well, that was a vital interception from Steve Chettle.
It certainly was, because Rodgers put his hand up for offside, but no way was he offside. But once again, Parler takes up a great position, comes off the wide one, goes into a central area where he can find a little bit of space. Just waits for the forward run of Anelka, but a great interception that is from Chettle.
Arsenal get the free kick, and Steve Chettle saved a potential goal opening then. Here's Adams. Overmars, on to burn outside him. He's equally happy on either foot, though. That's the wonderful thing about Overmars. He can come in on his right and be just as devastating. Here's Parler. Dixon. Holding off the challenge from Hodges. Now Vieira for Arsenal. Stone in the right place, and a gap opening up down the right for Forest. Bonalaire. Darshfield in support, and that's a great little ball to find him. He's onside.
Good break this by Forest. Bonalaire waits for the run of Darshfield. He's not offside, but great position Seaman takes up. Darshfield tries to squeeze it in on Seaman's near post, but he's got his angles absolutely spot on. Good bit of keeping there from the England number one.
10 minutes to half-time. Forest growing in confidence here. A wild clearance. It's almost got into the hospitality suite high in the stand. But it doesn't matter. It didn't go in the net. That's the important thing. Parler, the man underneath the ball. And those couple of thousand Nottingham Forest fans in that corner enjoying this little period for their team. Hodges with the corner. Got too much on it. Goal kick. Arsene Wenger will, I'm sure, believe that his side can do better than they've done so far in this game. The manager of the year, here almost 2 years now. And what a transformation he's brought about in so many aspects here. He brought in fitness coaches, he's made the players study their lifestyle, eating habits, relaxation, approach to matches. He really has made it a much more scientific, professional, if you like, approach. And it's paid huge dividends. Bergkamp to Parler. Well, that was almost an embarrassing mistake by Chettle in lunging at the ball. He could have turned it past his own keeper.
Yeah, once again there, you saw the ball being delivered early from Lee Dixon. Completely took Anelka by surprise. Wasn't on his toes, wasn't ready for it. If he had been, that would have been another opportunity for him.
There's Petit. The run by Parler, his foot very high then. Bonalaire closed down quickly by Winterburn. Adams doing well. Played every game in the World Cup for England. Hodges down that left touchline for Rodgers.
That's what he likes doing, Rodgers, getting forward down that left-hand side. We've spoken about Darshfield's pace. He's the quickest in the team. Rodgers would be a close second.
The man they signed to fill the shoes, if anyone could, of the legendary Stuart Pearce. They brought him from Tranmere about a year ago. Overmars takes on Bonalaire. The Frenchman was up to it. And here's the other Frenchman, Darshfield. Scything tackle by yet another. In Petit, who believes his countryman dived then. The referee doesn't think so. fairness, when you're going at Darshfield's pace, the merest touch is likely to send you flying. Hodges swings it in, and Dixon clears. Chettle forced to knock it out of play because Anelka didn't give him an easy ride then.
Well, that's good defending from the front. It would have been easy just to allow Chettle to play a forward ball. He closed him down. And eventually won his team a throw-in.
Vieira. Glorious ball. Bergkamp. Oh, he's trying to be a bit too clever there, but he's determined enough to win it back, or has he? No. Stone comes out with the ball. Adams comes to win it back in typically fierce fashion and continues his run forward. Overmars in possession. Well, he felt, and so did the crowd behind the goal, that came off the Forest man and should have been a corner. The referee's pointed for a goal kick.
Certainly close enough to the action, and I tend to agree with the Arsenal players. I thought that was a corner, but a typical driving run from Tony Adams. I think his spirit there trying to rub off on the rest of his colleagues, because there's one thing that's been lacking in this first half from Arsenal is that little bit of drive. They've been a little bit casual with their passing, not crisp, giving the ball away on too many occasions.
Nottingham Forest will be very satisfied with their first half's work, I would think, particularly in view of the team they were forced to field, which is no disrespect to anyone, but it is 3 or 4 players liked of the team that I'm sure Dave Bassett would ideally like to have selected tonight. There's Anelka. Petit. And now Vieira. Dixon out on the right. Parler's made the run, and he spots him well. Turn back for Bergkamp. Well, it deflected off Chettle, and I think it's gone behind for a corner, has it?
Well, the correct decision should be offside, because
Yes,
Lee Dixon was definitely offside, and
the linesman right this time.
it's not Lee Dixon actually, it's Ray Parler that you can see there, clearly offside.
Certainly would have been a corner. Doesn't catching it behind the line. Very grateful to see that flag. Over 8 months now since Arsenal last tasted defeat here at Highbury. Blackburn Rovers beat them 3-1 back in December. The home record last season formidable. 15 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. The only other team that won here, Liverpool, and the 2 teams that drew here, Tottenham Hotspur and Aston Villa. Vieira releases one again over the top, but Overmars caught offside.
Just sense there Vieira with that type of ball, just trying to force it. That's what comes when you get a little bit frustrated. Arsenal obviously disappointed they haven't got the initial breakthrough. There's no need to force it. There's still a long way to go in this game. So keep probing, keep passing it. Eventually, I think they'll find the breakthrough.
Besant's kick headed on towards Darshfield. Adams got it away again. He's defending brilliantly for Arsenal tonight. And Parler reveling down the right-hand side, and yet again Arsenal have fallen into the offside trap. Anelka this time.
Yes, you can see there Anelka's just gone too early. Helder raises his hand, he knows he's offside. Just allowed him to run.
Half a dozen times. Too many Arsene Wenger's liking, I'm sure. And one of the reasons why his team have only occasionally stuttered into life in this first half.
That's Arsenal at their best. We saw the 2 of them there converging on Armstrong, Vieira and Petit. We haven't quite seen that determination, that type of pressing in the first period of this game.
Rodgers looking for the pace of Darshfield in and behind the Arsenal defence again, but couldn't get it right this time. Adams. Overmars. And Petit. Overmars hits it early this time. It doesn't seem to quite be on top of his game yet.
Well, as he played that ball into the box, there are only two Arsenal players in there. They weren't Anelka and Bergkamp. They were actually Bergkamp and Tony Adams, who continued his run into a forward area.
There are some very difficult fixtures coming up for Arsenal in the opening month of the season. I'll come back to that as they threaten again. Besant anticipating well.
Forrest have got a problem, Alan. The central defender, Helder's just gone down, clutching his hamstring. Looks to me if that's a pulled muscle. If it is, I'm sure they'd like to get him through to half-time, but that does look ominous to me. I wouldn't think he'll take any further part in this game.
He collapsed on the deck with no one near him, and that has all the hallmarks of a pulled muscle. And that's going to be a problem, because they've got a very inexperienced couple of players on the substitutes bench tonight, Nottingham Forest.
Well, the option that got open to them, as Dave Bassett is just pondering what change he can make. One that he can do, of course, is to put Craig Armstrong into the back four to play alongside Steve Chettle. But I wouldn't think at this moment, Alan, he'd want to change it. He'll be disappointed with that. Almost got to half-time, exactly as he would have wanted, 0-0. Let's see how he did it. There you see him just pulling up. Classic hamstring pull. Well, he's trying to walk it off at this moment.
Well, it's obviously so close to half-time. I assume Dave Bassett won't want to send a substitute on just in case he can make a recovery, but it's very hard to see him doing that from that type of injury, if it's what we assume it to be. They've got Des Little, full-back, of course, on the bench. Mark Crossley, the goalkeeper, Dougie Friedman, the new striker signed, and then two teenagers in Marlon Harewood, who's a centre-forward, and Andy Dawson, who's basically a midfield player. So there is no obvious central defender as a potential replacement.
Well, as you can see there, Armstrong has already gone back into the back four. Played there quite a few occasions last season for Forest.
The irony is, the perfect man would have been Colin Cooper, who's played most of his career there. Probably would have started in midfield tonight, but failed the fitness test this morning. Well, with all Forest selection problems, the last thing they needed was to see a key player like Helder limping off. Dave Bassett's left his seat in the director's box to gauge the extent of the problem. As Keown releases another long ball for Overmars. Skipped inside his man beautifully, and whoa, the shot didn't seem as though it was going to trouble Dave Bassett. It seemed to move in the air.
There's quite a few of the keepers in the opening few days of this season having a problem with the lightness of this ball. Just look at that ball move. Completely deceives Dave Bassett. Not a particularly strong shot, but that ball is moved some 4 or 5 feet. And for any keeper, that is a major problem.
Good reaction by Bassett, who's had a good first half. Andy Johnson for Forest. And again. Adams, as ever, comes out with the ball. Bonner winning it back. Here's Darshfield. Nice skill by him. And Arsenal battle for every ball. There's not just skill in this Arsenal team. There's utter determination to win every tackle. Mark Overmars getting that one wrong. Almost 3 minutes of stoppage time completed now.
Yes, Dave Bassett waited for the whistle, and there he hears it. He'll be delighted with that.
Well, Nottingham Forest came to the home of the champions with a patched-up team, but they've done pretty well in the opening 45 minutes, even though the width of a post in the end has kept them in it at 0-0. Beautiful control on the chest, and then the turn by Nicholas Anelka. very unlucky that he didn't give Arsenal the lead there. But Forest had their moments too, principally this one from their flyer Darshfield, which produced a fine save from David Seaman in the Arsenal goal. So we've reached half-time in the opening game of the season at Highbury. It's Arsenal 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
It's Arsenal against Forest. And after an understandably tentative start, Forest have given a good account of themselves there, and they've worried the champions on occasions as well. The one man in the book, Glyn Hodges, on his debut for Nottingham Forest. But he might have been. It's been played for the most part, as you can see, in that midfield third, but I think it's fair to say, Andy, Forest have done well, haven't they?
I think they've done exceptionally well, Richard. I think they, apart from they rode their luck maybe on a couple of occasions, but apart from that, they've been, when I said right at the beginning, at 0-0, people are saying it's going to be 2, 3, 4 tonight for Arsenal. You've got to earn that right at this level. And Forest have come up as champions with a bit of pride. They've been knocked a bit in the summer, but they're well organised. You can see that Dave Bassett's got this team well organised. He's packed his midfield to protect his back four with 5 players. But what I've liked about them is when they've broken, Richard, they've broken with pace and with threat.
Haven't they just? Kielder going off there, if he is finished now, that's a real test for them, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a huge blow. I thought he was pretty impressive. Him and Chettle were like a big rock in front of Dave Besant. They were playing very well indeed. Twice in particular, he got across and made great blocks on Overmars, and that will be a blow if he's not going to come back, which doesn't look likely. We
talked about Anelka at the start. He very nearly got in here tonight. Terrific stuff, wasn't it?
It was great skill from him, and all about Arsenal and what they do. You can see him just at the top of the screen there, Rich, so they're quite high up the pitch. And with no pressure on Vieira, he thinks, well, I'm just going to angle this over. But just watch the control here. 2, 4 touches, and he's so unlucky. But take a look at it from so close. Just watch his concentration. Look at that.
Great touch.
Super. Sets it so much that they can take it on the volley. Away from Hilda, who I said has played well. Now he's set. Besant comes. Dave goes to ground. I think that's very unlucky.
What about Darshfield? Martin Keogh knows plenty about him. He is quick, isn't he?
Well, if we didn't know, and I did say the one thing that I did see in pre-season was his speed. He showed it early on. And Martin Keown gets very, very tight with him here. But suddenly, I've not seen a player in England do this to Martin Keown. I'll run this at normal speed here. Because he's flying. Look at
backwards,
that.
Keown,
and he's so unlucky. Brilliant defending from Nigel Winterburn. And had he not been good enough, then he would have been in trouble. But this is one of the best breaks of the match. They're defending deep here. I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. I'm having button trouble, but here we go. And Bonalier, you see him here, Richard. He suddenly breaks, and they're just going to slide him in here. And Nigel Winterburn, who's going ahead of the play, can't get back. And this was one of the best breaks of the match. And I think his pace, Darshfield's pace here, because I think Martin Keown, you know, normally Richard would have followed him in. But I think, such as his pace, he thought, I'm going to play him offside. And he plays him in, and only good goalkeeping.
Lift it.
Kept him.
Goalless at Highbury. It looks as though they are going to have to make, or are they going to make the change? He's trying to run it off, isn't he? But surely not. If it's a hamstring injury, he's got to leave the action, hasn't he? But Forest are trying to get him back involved. We'll find out if he continues when we come back. It's goalless at the moment at Highbury. The second half's next. Right now it's Arsenal. Blow for Forest, Andy, losing Kielder.
Yeah, that is a blow. There was no doubt he wasn't coming back on, Richard. If you pull a hamstring, and I've done it before, the one thing you would do, they might well be out for 2, 3, 4 weeks max. But if he stayed on, I guarantee you he'd be out for 4 months or something like that. If you really ripped, you know, he'd probably just pulled it. He's tweaked it at best, at worst, and it'll be a 2, 3, 4 week job for him.
Well, it remains to be seen how they reorganise. Let's go back and get some more on that with Trevor Francis and Alan Parry.
Yes, confirmation that Des Little is coming on, an experienced right fullback who's been with Forest for 5 years now. He's actually on the transfer list at the moment. He was first choice in the right back role for most of last season, until he lost his place towards the end to the Frenchman Thierry Bonelaire. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly Forest regroup to cope with the loss of Hjelde, who, rather astonishingly, was even sent out to try out his hamstring, which you would have thought might have made the problem even worse. Anyway, he could barely raise a jog, let alone a sprint, and against Nicholas Anelka you need to be able to do a little bit more than jog. So he goes back to the changing room. There's Little out there for the second half. The team's at 0-0. And the first blow, if you like, for Nottingham Forest, who've won a corner thanks to Steve Stone's persistence. Taken him 9 years to clock up those 200 appearances for Forest. Just shows you how many injuries he's had in his career, including, of course, a broken leg on 3 occasions in his really young days. It's a decent corner as well. Adams heads it out, and a wild shot back in by Steve Stone, which he is again claiming should have earned a corner. He said it deflected off an Arsenal man, but the verdict is goal kick. Well, we can hear a little bit more about Hjelder's problem and the subsequent substitution from our reporter George Gavitt.
Alan, Hjelder thought it might have been cramp he was feeling. That's why he tried it out so much. In the end, it was or is a hamstring, and that's the reason he's gone off.
Thanks, George. Rodgers finding Darshfield.
I can only assume, Alan, that Hjelder has never had a hamstring pull before.
There was an offside decision flagged against Anelka there.
Well, we haven't got the best angle there, but I don't think he was offside.
Certainly looked a very close call there against Anelka, who at the age of 19 is now established first choice here, alongside Dennis Bergkamp, of course, following the departure of the club's record scorer Ian Wright to West Ham.
During the half-time interval, we were just wondering where Des Little would actually fit into this Forest 11. Surprisingly, he's gone into the centre of midfield. We thought he may go into the right-back area, where he's more familiar with, allowing Bonalaire to go into a midfield role. But he's playing just in front of the back four. As we expected, Craig Armstrong has gone into the back four alongside Chettle. And the one advantage that Forest do have there is the extra bit of pace that Armstrong will give them.
As I mentioned, Little is one of a number of Forest players currently on the transfer list, the likes of Scott Gemmell, who is not agreeing to sign a new contract. You can applaud the Nottingham Forest board for being so strong-willed in their attitude, but it certainly doesn't help their manager, Dave Bassett, who've been forced to do without so many key players. But they're making a good fist of it tonight, and Thomas's cross causes another problem momentarily for Arsenal. Petit cleaned it up nicely, and an early throw sets Overmars sprinting forward. Had to check back and gets fouled by Steve Stone. As competitive as ever. Too competitive, by the looks of it, for referee Riley's liking. Yellow card for Steve Stone. But he's as honest as they come, Steve Stone. Competes for every ball. Here's Parla. Yeah. Cleared by Armstrong. Winterburn. Shoot was the cry from the Arsenal fans. Goes into Bergkamp instead. Keown knows what to expect from Darshfield now.
What he won't want, of course, Keown, is to get isolated one-on-one with this guy. He's going to be looking around for Adams, always to be close to him, ready to give him cover. Well, I can't understand why the linesman didn't put his flag up, because it was clearly 4 or 5 yards offside Anelka.
Yes, I must admit, I thought I was seeing things for a moment there. All the players stopped, looked towards him, and the flag stayed down. It's a case of playing to the whistle. Thomas. And kept in well. And 3 men in the middle. Oh, what an opening there for Thomas. Forest could and maybe should have taken the lead there.
What a turn of speed Bonalaire showed there. Everyone thought that ball was going out for a throw, and he keeps it in, cuts it back onto the left foot of Thomas, and that's a glorious opportunity wasted.
But at the other end, Anelka's got clear! You felt it was on its way into the back of the net. The crowd behind the goal were willing it in, but it didn't make it.
Well, the one thing you know, that when Anelka goes clear, nobody's going to catch him. Whether he can finish remains to be seen. That ball is always going wide of the far post. And that's the closest Arsenal have been in the second half.
Well, you do have to keep reminding yourself he's only 19, Vieira's only 22 as well. They play with such stature and conduct themselves so well, those two, that you do forget how inexperienced they are really at this level.
What surprised me, Alan, was that Anelka wasn't selected for the World Cup for France. When you consider the problems they had in forward areas, I think he would have been a major asset to them.
I know the backroom staff at Highbury have been massively impressed with Anelka's progress, and particularly during the summer just gone. He apparently has really trained hard and looked very sharp. I feel he's going to get a lot of goals this season. Here's Dixon. Adams. Arsenal having to come back to try and find some room here. 20-odd players massed inside the Forest half at the moment. Is there a way through for Arsenal? Thomas finds Johnson. Can there be a way through for Forest? They've certainly had a couple of decent opportunities, notably the one for Jeff Thomas minutes ago. Johnson turns one over the top. Stone is onside. Darshfield up with him. He's won the corner off Adams. Well, whatever happens eventually, and they could be swept aside yet, Forest can be well pleased with the contribution they've made to this game so far. Glenn Hodges with the corner. Johnson coming in and almost reached it. Keown got there just ahead of him. And Dave Bassett trying to bark out some instructions.
So there's not an easy corner to deal with this. Left-footed coming in from Hodges, swinging in, great pace. Well, that's a slightly easier one to deal with. Doesn't get it off the floor. An easy header for Parlour.
But nonetheless, they keep the pressure on with another corner. Armstrong on the near post, 3 near the penalty spot. Johnson, Chettle and Thomas. And a bit of hesitation at the back. Seaman finally got a good fist on the ball. And in the end, Arsenal did enough to clear the danger. They conceded only 10 goals in 19 Premiership matches here last season, Arsenal. But they've given the ball away here. Little winning kick back. Darshfield finding Stowe. Forced to go wide, needs a bit of support now. And a rather panicky clearance by Tony Adams, unusually for him. Forest beginning to get Arsenal a little rattled, perhaps. Well, I'm sure Forest will be well aware that it's so important they hold on here, because you do get the impression that if Arsenal go in front, it's going to be doubly difficult for Nottingham Forest to hang on. They set their stall out to defend tonight. They've done it exceptionally well. They've had a great outlet, particularly in Darshfield, but they've got to keep that clean sheet for those tactics to work. And Dave Besant, at the age of 39 now, has made his contribution with a couple of fine first-half saves. Closed down quickly by Andy Johnson, who's worked really hard tonight. Great ball back though by Petit. He knew exactly where he was going. Little looking again for Darshfield, and David Seaman had to intercept. Well, this is much of what Arsenal can expect for the rest of the season. When you're champions, people pay you an enormous amount of respect, and I think their major task this season will be breaking down defences, the like of which Nottingham Forest have strung across the pitch tonight. I was mentioning what a difficult opening month it could be for Arsenal. They've got Liverpool, Chelsea and Leicester away, and Manchester United here in the opening few weeks of the season. Good calm defensive play by Nottingham Forest. But in the end, Vieira wins it back and finds Overmars. Chance here! It's not been his night so far, Mark Overmars.
No, he was quickly released by Vieira onto his left foot. Armstrong comes across quickly. But a better chance was the one that just fell previously to Anelka. Here he is, typical Anelka run. Gets in behind Cheto, one-on-one with the keeper, but dregs his shot just past the far post.
Forest continue to hold on. They've actually got a good record in recent years at Highbury. They've drawn 7 of their last 12 visits here. Hodges given away to Vieira. Parla. And now Dixon. Parla continues his run. Foul by Rodgers. He disagrees with the linesman's verdict.
Yeah, I think Rodgers a little bit unfortunate there.
Bergkamp will take the free kick. Adams coming in on the far post. Oh, unlucky, but it's ended in the end by Petit. The last time he scored was a pretty important match in Paris. That goal, just as important to start Arsenal's season off with a bang.
Well, it was a debatable free kick, but it certainly punished Forest. They'll argue it wasn't a free kick. That's a fantastic header from Adams. Leaps above his marker. Just look how high he gets up, hits the bar. Petit onto it first. But was Adams offside? Just have a look at his position as this ball comes back into play. Petit hits it. Adams is on the goal line. The referee decides he's not interfering with play. A contentious issue. I'm sure Andy will look at it after the game.
There's Keown also almost on the goal line. And the Forest players, to a man, appeal. They didn't like the award of the free kick in the first place, but now they're on the back foot. Armstrong has to clear under pressure from Anelka. And the champions, with just less than an hour gone here at Highbury, are in front. Parla. Vieira. And here's Winterburn. Petit, the goal scorer. Took him ages to get off the mark, I remember last season. Now he's off the mark in the opening day. Parla getting forward well. It's an irony that before tonight, Emmanuel Petit had scored more goals for his country than for his club. He got 2 in the World Cup finals, as many as he scored for Arsenal in the whole of last season. And here he is again. Wonderful summer he had. The League and Cup double, a star for France in the World Cup, and of course that World Cup final goal. He's just carried on where he left off. Now Forest have got a problem. They've defended brilliantly for almost an hour. But what are they going to do now?
I know what the referee's going to do. He's having a word with Stone. He's already booked him. Steve has to be careful.
whilst not exactly rampant yet, Arsenal are in full flow now. Parla. Bergkamp just ahead of him. Here he is. Tried to slide it through to Anelka. Typically unselfish of Bergkamp. Parla rather wins it back. And Overmars finds Anelka, who's onside. Still in play. Dixon. Parla. Here's Vieira. Winterburn finding Anelka, a lay-off a bit too strong.
Well, on this occasion, Anelka times his run to perfection, not at a particularly good angle. Always going to be difficult if the keeper's got his angles right, and you can see there Besson, he cuts off that near post, forces Anelka to drag the shot badly wide. So wide, in fact, it actually stayed in play.
Well, Arsenal in front at Highbury, a formidable proposition for a newly promoted team, and a weakened side at that. What have they got in their locker now, Forest? Well, they got this man, Darshfield. Couldn't quite reach that through ball from Des Little. And each time they give it away, the Gunners come filing again. Bergkamp. Anelka's offside here. Said that a few times tonight. Must be, what, 8, 9 offsides now. Arsenal have been caught. I've always exaggerated. Rodgers. Thomas doing well. A good tackle then by Keown. Vieira. And again. Gives it away to Little. Hodges. Darshfield's lost his man brilliantly again. Oh, that was unlucky. Low centre of gravity, great pace and strength. He looks a handful.
Yeah, that wasn't such a good defender from Adams. He tried to read the intentions of Darshfield. Quickly escaped his marking. Well, he had 4 to get by the well, didn't he?
Now Anelka at the other end. Oh, Chettle just got there ahead of him. Goal kick. But although he's hit the post and pulled one wide of the post, he still looks a real threat whenever he has the ball, Nicholas Anelka.
Yes, with just under half an hour to go, you wouldn't bet on him not scoring, would you?
But as long as they've got Darshfield doing the Anelka job, if you like, at the other end, Forest have got to cling on to a hope they can rescue something from this game.
Certainly look more than useful, and you just think how Forest will be when they go back to the 4-4-2 with somebody up there giving them a little bit more support. Obviously, because of circumstances, Dave was forced to play 4-5-1. He's got Doug Freeman on the bench. He so wishes to bring him on at the moment. I'm sure he's just trying to get the game to settle down, keep it as long as he can at 1-0. He can always bring Freeman on for the last 10 minutes to try and force an equaliser.
Keown. It's a heck of a ball. Overmars. Bergkamp and Anelka in the box. And he wasn't allowed to cross. On there dispossessing it. Now Stone for Nottingham Forest. It's a foul. Little. Thomas finding Rodgers. A mistake by Armstrong. Could be costly. Petit. Bergkamp far side. I think that's who he was trying to pick out, but he got it wrong. Rather over-ambitious ball then by Andy Johnson, gives possession back to Arsenal.
This is a message for the stadium.
As many teams have found in the last 12 months or so, going a goal behind to Arsenal presents you with real problems. That formidable defence of theirs, not easily penetrated. Well, in actual fact, Manchester United had the better defensive record last season and actually scored more goals, ironically. Here's Bonalea for Forest. Stone. It's a good ball from Thomas to Rodgers. Stone again. Invites Little to get forward. Stone. Hodges. There seem to be red shirts buzzing around whenever there's danger. And now Parler changing the emphasis to attack. And picking out Anelka. Oh, if he'd let that one on there, Anelka, Bergkamp was in a perfect position behind him.
Yes, he obviously didn't get the call from Dennis Bergkamp. But once again, a great forward run from Ray Parler. He's improved so much as a player. Makes a lot of driving runs. And that's where the goal actually came from, as a result of the free kick, which, as I say, was very contentious. But it was that forward run from Parler that got him in behind the left-back Rodgers.
Glyn Hodges now for Nottingham Forest. Rodgers down the touchline. Here's Thomas. Looking for Darshfield, and he almost punished Arsenal for a moment's slack defending. Well, I would think if this is the level of performance he can carry on producing, he could well become a permanent fixture at the City Ground. A man who's had to deal with a terrible personal tragedy incident. He was playing really well, I gather, in the French league for his club Rouen. And then his wife and 2 young children were killed in a car crash, and that obviously devastated him and put his game back for a long, long time. He lost form, lost his place in the side, but Dave Bassett was recommended to him by Ian Storey-Moore, the old Nottingham Forest winger, and that's why they've signed him on a year's loan. Dixon picking out Bergkamp. Tried the chip. We've seen it work before, not this time.
It's got to be a good chip to beat Dave Besant, one of the tallest keepers in the Premiership.
Here's Rodgers. Parler quickly on his toes. Dixon clashing there with Jeff Thomas. And Arsenal get the verdict. Free kick. Petit. Good ball by Adams to Overmars. They continue to defend pretty solidly, Nottingham Forest, but it's not a lot of use anymore now that they're a goal behind. Bergkamp, beautiful control on the chest, but well read by Chettle. His clearance only as far as Patrick Vieira. Now Parler. Looked a bit loose, but Winterburn got there first. Dixon. And now Adams. It's difficult to know, really, Trevor, what Forest can do now. Still forced to defend in numbers. And a goal behind. How would you try and analyse this situation?
Well, I think at the moment Dave's got to stick in there at 1-0. Whilst it's 1-0, they've still got a chance. I think he's fearful that if he tries to open it up, he goes 4-4-2, they risk going 2 or 3 behind, and the game is gone from them. As long as it stays 1-0, you can always bring another forward on the last few minutes to try and snatch that equaliser.
Vieira, 20 minutes remaining. Arsenal leading 1-0. Well, course, Europe on the horizon as well for Arsenal soon. The draw for the Champions League opening stages takes place on August the 27th. Their first game will be on September the 16th, and they'll be playing their home matches in Europe at Wembley Stadium this season. Defending comfortably with the occasional concern whenever Darshfield's in possession. Thomas. And Hodges was being tugged back there by Lee Dixon. Referee Riley saw it. And they've looked pretty threatening from set pieces so far, Forest, with the excellent distribution of Glyn Hodges. Johnson, the other possible taker here. Just waiting for Steve Chettle to get forward. It will be Johnson this time. Actually, should have left it to Hodges. Well, let's tell you about football coming up later this week on Sky Sports. On Wednesday night, it's Worthington Cup action. Second leg, Manchester City against Notts County. Our programme is on Sky Sports 2, and it begins at 7:30. Then Super Sunday football takes us to Villa Park. Aston Villa against Middlesbrough. That's on Sky Sports 1, Sunday at 3. Vieira under pressure from Little. Keogh. And now Parlour. Arsenal keeping possession and not really troubled at the back, but not making a lot of progress as yet. And now Adams has given it away. Here's Stone, waiting for the overlapping Bonalaire. Vieira just stayed calm, and a good ball. Dixon to Parlour. Bergkamp. No one can get it off him.
Just look how many defenders Forest have got back, Alan. 9 defenders. Not easy to break that down, no matter how good a player you are.
Well, a bizarre moment there from the linesman. The Arsenal players, Anelka and Bergkamp, were walking back and were initially in an offside position. The linesman didn't flag them, probably correctly, but then when the ball was played back and they seemed to be in an onside position, he did flag. Have a look at this. That was the moment he flagged.
Well, I think the linesman was trying to keep the game flowing, trying to give Forest the advantage of having possession of the ball when Bergkamp was clearly offside, but when Armstrong actually headed into the path of Bergkamp, he felt obliged to put his flag up.
Not quite sure where you find that one in the laws of the game. Perhaps he felt a bit of justice was done anyway. Keogh, Dixon. Good tackle, well played, Rodgers. People feeling this is going to be a long, hard struggle for Nottingham Forest this season. Of course, history isn't on their side. The First Division champions of the previous 4 seasons haven't stayed too long at the highest level. In fact, Crystal Palace, Sunderland and Bolton were all relegated after just 1 season. Middlesbrough lasted only 2. And many people have predicted that Forest will join that rather sorry list. They don't come much more daunting than your first game away to the champions. And Fido Dave Bassett, I think 1 or 2 people might be forced to revise their opinions, especially if he's allowed to spend some money to strengthen the squad and replace those who've gone missing.
As I'm going to say, Alan, the key to what happens to Forest the remainder of this season is just how much they receive for the sale of Hoydon and just how well Dave spends the money.
There's Parlour for Arsenal. Sure, we'd like to see him in the squad. Winterburn beaten to it by Steve Stone. 15 minutes remaining at Highbury. It's been a sort of 5 or 6 out of 10 performance by Arsenal. They've done enough. We all know they're capable of a lot more than this. As long as they do enough to win, that's what matters. However, they've gifted the ball back to Forest here. And Rodgers obliges by giving it back to them. And there's a big hole left behind now, which Parlour will fill and helps it forward to Anelka. Armstrong did a good job in forcing him wide. Parlour again. This is Lee Dixon. Left foot shot from Lee Dixon. Collector's item.
And once again, the fact that Dave Beasant doesn't take it cleanly is an indication that that ball is moved through the air.
Hasn't scored for almost 2 years now. Lee Dixon, as Thomas goes forward here. He's equalised. It just shows you in this game, when you think one team are gearing up for a second goal, how often do we see that happen? Jeff Thomas has brought Nottingham Forest back into the picture.
What a great finish this is from Thomas. I'm not so happy about the defending here from Tony Adams. Thomas puts it through his legs. He still has a lot to do. He's faced in front of him the daunting task of beating Dave Seaman, but that's a cool, absolutely brilliant finish. Inside of his left foot, calmly, then the right-hand side of Seaman. 1-1.
Well, who would have believed that? And now, all of a sudden, with less than a quarter of an hour remaining, Arsenal have got to start all over again if they want 3 points from their opening home game. Certainly in terms of possession, you'd hardly say that Forest deserved that, but much of their defending has deserved some kind of reward tonight. Dixon finding Anelka. Shot by Bergkamp, and hasn't seemed to see it late, but still made the save.
Well, I can't believe the amount of space that Bergkamp finds himself in. Ashley to his left, he's got Overmars clear. He's unlucky there, Besson. That ball just bounces in front of him, makes it slightly more difficult than what he anticipated.
Petit with the corner. Well defended. Hodges got it clear. But back in it goes, and the offside decision to the huge relief of Nottingham Forest in their favour. Well, it's an interesting moment to prompt your thoughts about man of the match. Our new phone number this season, 0660 11 22 33. 0660 11 22 33. Give us a call now. Well, this is a finale we haven't been expecting. Arsenal, having taken the lead after so much stubborn, excellent defending by Nottingham Forest, looked as though they were almost coasting, looked at times as though they were about to add a second, but Forest have hit them on the break again. An excellent finish by the former England man Jeff Thomas, and at the moment Forest are looking at starting their new campaign with a point. Hodges, they might be looking to start with 3. Rodgers getting the ball in the middle, but suddenly Overmars will break. He's going all the way. Oh, well played, Beasant. It's not over yet. It is now. He's got a left foot. He's got a right foot. And he's got the coolest brain around.
What a great run from Overmars, but a brilliant save from Besant. But the finish, absolutely top quality. He knows exactly where he is. Besant is stranded on his left foot, lifts it over Besant. He's helpless. Absolutely perfection. What a reply that is from Arsenal. There's no substitute for pace in Overmars and Anelka. They've got fantastic pace. As Overmars went clear, he could have played Anelka, but he had run offside. He elected to go alone. One-on-one with Besant. Besant did his best, saved the first one, but he was helpless in the second one.
Well, he's almost had an ordinary match by his standards, Mark Overmars. But that was a breathtaking goal. He scored 16 last season. In fact, only Dennis Bergkamp got more. And that was a spectacular effort. And they weren't level for long, were they? 3 minutes between the Forest equaliser and Arsenal regaining the lead.
Alan McKinn from this left-hand corner down in front of us here. Rodgers crossed the ball into the box. Keown headed it clear. And just at that moment, Forest had elected to push one or two extra players forward. Obviously, as a result of getting the equaliser, they were encouraged, they went forward. Overmars was left totally unmarked, and they paid for it.
And in the excitement following that Arsenal goal, you probably saw that Nottingham Forest made a change. Darshfield has gone off to be replaced by Dougie Freedman, another new signing, just arrived from Wolves, Scotsman who played for Barnet, or rather for Bassett, at Crystal Palace. He started out at Barnet and QPR. Now then, the referee's going to have a word with Stone, who's been in trouble with him once before and been yellow carded, and common sense has prevailed. Well done, Mr. Riley. Too many referees would have fished out the second yellow there, which would have meant red. And I don't think the offence merited dismissal, but they'll tell you that you have to apply the rules as they are written. The more robotic referees will anyway. Still a place for common sense. Thank goodness for that. Winterburn finds Overmars. Lovely ball onto Petit. Almost found an elper in space. And here goes Thomas. Hodges. Freedman. Thomas needs some help. Rodgers. Bonalaire. This is Little. It was the best attack Forest have put forward here. Steve Stone with the cross, just played it in behind Freedman. Well, there's going to be another change here now for Nottingham Forest. This is a young man that most of us haven't seen before. Marlon Harewood, he's only 18, came through their youth system and has been on loan to a club in Finland. They wanted to keep him till the end of their season, which doesn't finish till October. But because of all the problems he's got, Harry Bassett recalled him. Born in North London, not far from here, and made his debut for Forest on the final day of last season. A big, strong, quick lad, Marlon Harewood, on for his Premiership debut. And he gets his first touch here, and plays it back to Thomas. Rodgers. And run back by Parler. Well, that's a cynical foul by Hodges. He's going to be in trouble for that.
Well, he could be off, Alan, this time. Stone wasn't. So I'm going to say Stone got away with it.
Yes, he's been yellow carded, remember, in the first half. Gets away with a telling off.
Well, it's a blatant obstruction. I think the referee has done a big favour there for Nottingham Forest. On 2 occasions, Steve Stone and Glyn Hodges could have been dismissed, but he's kept the contest level, or equal, I should say, 11 against 11.
Here's an Elka. Good effort. Little winning it back for Nottingham Forest. Adams is there to clear. And now Bergkamp. Here's Parler. Arsenal back in control. Or are they? The last time we thought that, Jeff Thomas smacked them in the face. Dixon.
They might find it slightly easier now to pass the ball with just 4 midfield players Forest out instead of the 5. Well, should I have said that? And now gives it away carelessly.
Friedman. One back on Vieira. And Lee Dixon hustled up the ball by Dougie Friedman. Hodges. Arsenal have got on with the throw-in very quickly. Winterburn. A lovely ball back to him from Bergkamp. Anelka in the centre. And here he is. He did well then. He was totally outnumbered.
So did Besant. As soon as that ball came off the heel of Anelka, it went 20 foot in the air, and Besant quickly off his line to punch clear. Just look at the space now in that midfield, Alan. For 80 minutes, Forest smothered it. Frustrated Arsenal, they couldn't find any rhythm.
Now there by Herwood. Let's remind you of our man of the match telephone number. It's a new one this season. 0660 11 22 33. That's 0660 112233. Give us a call now, and you can win a prize if you nominate the man of the match. Thomas looking for Herwood. Vieira takes it off him. He's onside, is he? Ooh, that looked close. The linesman has not endeared himself to too many of the Highbury faithful tonight. That was close.
Yeah, Rodgers in the picture. I think he's playing him onside.
And an incident which I must confess I didn't see as we were watching that replay there in the centre circle has left Des Little stranded. Well, Emmanuel Petit started the ball rolling here for Arsenal tonight with that reaction, and the ball came back off the Nottingham Forest crossbar. And that's a pretty impressive statistical review of his evening's contribution, and so is that. What you might call an all-round solid performance from a man who actually didn't play in midfield very often before he even came to Highbury. Most of his career in French football had been as a centre-back. Arsene Wenger saw in him something that he believed he could make a combative midfield player out of, and how right he was. How right he's been in most of his decisions and signings. Well, a beautiful nighttime view of the home of the champions. Little all right to continue, though he spilled a little blood in the cause. Time running here now for Nottingham Forest to rescue this. Keown first to react to that dangerous ball. And Forest spoil the script again here. Less than 60 seconds of time, but there will be, I would think, a good 2 or 3 minutes to be added. Armstrong. Bonner closed down by Overmars. Finds Stone. He's done well here, Steve Stone, but the linesman had already indicated to the referee, presumably that had gone over the line. And there it is. 3 minutes will be added. A system that was in use for the whole of last season, of course, in the Nationwide Football League. Delighted to see that the Premiership have brought it in as well. It does clear up a lot of arguments. Arsenal getting closer now to a winning start to their defence of the League Championship. But they've been made to battle hard here by the newly promoted team. Can they round it off with another goal, which I'd love to see here. Now, Dave Besson can't pick this ball up.
I think his body language told you, Alan, he didn't fancy kicking up with his left foot.
Great character, though, as he's known to everyone. I think he was third choice at Southampton at the start of last season. He's made a marvellous breakthrough so late in his long career. Now very much first choice at Nottingham Forest. And the subject of a good quiz question. There's something unique about Nottingham Forest. Dave Besant and their #2 goalkeeper, Mark Crossley. Anyone know, I wonder? They're the only two goalkeepers who ever saved penalties in an FA Cup final. There's a trivia for the night over. Now, how does the linesman sort that one out? He says, Forest ball. Thomas. Well, at least we can say now with a degree of certainty that there's just about a minute and a half remaining. I wonder if even Alex Ferguson's stopwatch might become redundant now that the fourth official indicates exactly how much the referee's going to add. Although, of course, any stoppages in this period would mean another addition. Better keep the watch, I think, Alec. Rodgers stealing a yard or two there. Petit. Rodgers doing well to find Thomas. This could be the last throw of the dice here. Friedman goes down, no foul given against Keogh. And now Parler. Bergkamp to his left and he's kicked him out. Can he finish things off in style here? Bonalaire made sure that the answer was no with brilliant defending.
Certainly was, wasn't it? Just delayed it too much, didn't he? Bergkamp gave the opportunity for Bonalaire to get back, to get that all-important tackle in.
Dixon facing the wrong way here as Friedman closes him down. And that should be just about that.
What a spirited performance it's been from Forest. Dave couldn't have asked any more from his players. They've given absolutely everything.
Hodges. Friedman tried to lose Keogh. And the free kick given for a foul by the Forest substitute. And that should be just about enough to guide Arsenal through to the final whistle now. Wonderful run and interception here by Thierry Bonalaire.
Yes, last seconds of the game, you'd expect Dennis Bergkamp to get an attempt in a goal. Bonalaire realised he was taking too much time, quickly got back and got a well-timed tackle in.
Well, it's a long, hard, winding road through to May and the end of the championship, of course. Arsenal will have harder games, they'll have easier games, they'll have some great performances and some ordinary ones, but at least it looks as though they've got off to a winning start now in defence of their title. As Anelka brings them forward perhaps for one last time. Good block. Chattel threw himself at the ball. Don't quite know what happened to the 3 minutes that were supposed to be added. We've had 4.5 already. And there could be a goal for Petit! Great save. Well, Dave Besant, close to 750 games now in his career, can be very, very pleased with his night's work.
Great support play this from Petit. Terrific shot, but what a save from Besant. He's done well tonight for Forest, made 2 or 3 really excellent saves.
20th season of his career, and he looks as good as ever. Petit Lovely ball. Parla. Another corner.
I don't think the referee wants this game to end.
Oh, so much for the indicator board telling us how long there is to go. You can obviously ignore that.
I think Arsenal just keep going short here from the corner. They've got a 2-on-1 there if they want it. Can't believe Petit's going to put this in the box. But he is.
And it very nearly paid dividends as well, with Adams again coming in on the far post. There it is, the final whistle on the day. A new season opens at Highbury, and the champions have begun with a victory. But an excellent performance by Nottingham Forest, considering all the problems they came into this game with the loss of so many key players, both before the game, during the summer, and on the night. They had to cope with a lot of setbacks. They coped pretty well. They held out for a long time as well. But then the World Cup winner, Emmanuel Petit, finally got the breakthrough and headed goal after Adams had smacked his header against the crossbar. But then, totally unexpectedly, Forest spoiled the script with an excellent finish by Jeff Thomas to make it 1-1. Their lead only lasted a couple of minutes, and a vintage goal by Mark Overmars sealed their fate and sealed Arsenal's victory. And so, another capacity crowd here in Highbury can make their way home, celebrating yet another Arsenal victory. This time, it's the first of the season. They'll believe it's the first of many. The final score, Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 1.
Well, Forest might feel hard done by. I think Andy's of that opinion. We'll see why in a moment or so. 2-1 Arsenal. All the goals in the second half. Had to readjust as well, Nottingham Forest, didn't they, when Gelder went off half-time. So they've coped well this evening, but come away without anything at all. 2 bookings, Hodges and Stone. On another night, one or the other might have gone off. Arsenal the better of the first half. 99 minutes was they played across that 90 minutes. See what I mean? Extraordinary amount of time. Man of the match. Overmars, 24%. Petit's won it there with 28, just ahead of Steve Stone, who performed manfully for Nottingham Forest. But Petit, man of the match, and these are some of the reasons why, Andy. It was colossal, this game tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, we talked beforehand about people like Stam and Desailly who maybe be suffering a World Cup hangover. Certainly no such thoughts in this guy. He was absolutely immense again tonight. It was a complete midfield performance, Richard. Good passing early on, great competitiveness in his tackle. And what more can he do than score a goal and almost top it here? Because had this gone in, he'd have put his team top of the league.
Yes, he would, alphabetically, you're right. And Les Burt from Chatham in Kent wins the replica jersey this evening, so well done to you, Les. Right, now let's clear up some of the reasons why you feel as though Forest initially were hard done by. Justice may be done when they got the equaliser, but what about the free kick?
Well, I thought there were 2 poor decisions from the linesman in the build-up to this goal. The first one is this free kick. As they're both making a run for this ball, you can see the referee right at the top of the screen there, Richard. He sees legs, but all these 2 players are doing is coming together, shoulder to shoulder. Ray Parla goes over,
and stays on his feet.
Yeah, and I just think that the linesman sticking his flag up there had no right to do so. I mean, there was nothing in it at all. It was a bad decision against Alan Rodgers.
And how often, when decisions like that are made, do goals come from them?
Yeah, but again, should it have been a goal? We ask ourselves. Was there another infringement here? And instead of sticking his flag up, he kept it down this time. And Forest suffer. Because we'll run this through and just show you what we mean. And it's actually when the ball comes back off the bar, it's a towering header yet again. But there's the header coming in. Now, 1, 2. Now, what I'm suggesting here is if that's not active, if that's not an active area, right in front of the goalie in the 6-yard box, then there can't be an active area on a football.
Well, there's
pitch.
a case for one, surely to goodness, definitely active.
Well, the reason is, if you watch
Martin
Martin Keown's body movement, he's trying to get out the way. Look, he's so close, it almost brushes him. Now, I think in that situation, that the linesman's entitled to stick his flag up and say it's a free kick. But watch Adams' run. I've just highlighted this here. It's absolutely first class.
Put his flag up and at least have a debate with the ref as to whether it was or not, yeah?
Oh, definitely.
We've got some finger trouble.
We have got some finger, but he's made it. But there's a standing jump, there's a running jump. It was a perfect header. And I think, you know, I think he's got to put his flag up and then allow the referee to decide whether they were interfering or not. Jeff
Thomas made it one apiece, and I think you felt then maybe Forrest had got something out of this.
This was a great goal. Look at this, all the way back from Dave Besant. And it's a super build-up. And I was impressed with Forrest. I said to you, the real test will come if they go a goal down. He did go a goal down, but answered brilliantly. And watch the way he just plays it and runs. And Vieira, actually, for one of the few times, he gets ahead of PT and Vieira. And that was an excellent finish. First class.
But Mark Overmars came up with something a little bit special to win it for Arsenal. The sort of goal that should, really.
Yeah, they risked it a few times here, and they're actually on the attack. What they do for us, I don't know whether it's something that they did in the First Division last year, is they hold the line high up the pitch. And what they got tonight was a lesson. There were more than one occasion they got left behind. But they're a wee bit spare here. But what Steve Chettle tries to do is play offside. And he comes out this way. And what happens is, he's away then. And now there's no catching him. No catching him. I think Dave Besant's a little unlucky. But that is a magnificent finish. Absolutely magnificent.
So it's a harsh lesson learned by Forrest there. OK, let's go back to Highbury and have a word with Arsene Wenger. He's with George Gavin.
Arsene, is that an indication that things will be harder for Arsenal this year?
We had some games like that last season. I think, of course, it will be very hard for every team because the level of all the teams is good. And I think as well, I'm very pleased that we won tonight because some of the players are not really sharp at the moment because they had a very short preparation. And I was a little bit scared of that before the season because we had 8 players at the World Cup. And of course, they had only 2 weeks for some of them to prepare.
Both goals came from midfield. Are you concerned about how you will replace Ian Wright's goals?
Listen, Ian Wright was a very important player for us, but we have now to do without him. I think when everybody is fit and we will score more goals up front. Dennis is at the moment not at his best physically and he needs competition, and I think in 1 or 2 weeks he will be much sharper, and so our passing game will be better as well. It was a very difficult game as well. I must say that Nottingham Forest defended very well, was disciplined even when we were 1-0 down, and 15 minutes before the end at 1-1 I would have signed for a second goal. So at the end of the day I'm happy.
How close are you to signing a striker? Patrick Kluivert maybe?
No, Patrick Kluivert, no, we don't sign anybody at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
But watch this space. A lot of football but we're off and running. Hey, it's been a good weekend, hasn't it?
It's been a super weekend. We're off, we're running, and we're going to get a great run. And I've looked forward to this season for 3 months, Richard, and I think we're not going to be disappointed.
Arsenal in business tonight, the champions, with a successful outing as it turned out. 3 points from the first game in the defence of their title, and they're in the mood to win it again. There's no two ways about that. From Andy and myself, thanks for your company. We'll see you this coming weekend. Remember, at Villa Park, Super Sunday, Aston Villa this coming weekend. Until then, it's goodbye for now.
That